holy smokes, this is freaking insane. The ban list is finally out. They finally announced it, and it's finally released. It's a whole, well, it's not a whole new list, but it's a new list altogether. Just mind-blowing, actually. What's up, everybody, and all those, everybody on planet Earth and all those who inhabit it. I'm so psyched out what's going on in this ban list. I can't freaking keep my life together here. Let's just quickly go through this list and see what they actually hit and what's come off, if there's anything new, if there's anything different. And obviously we see right out the gate Astrograph. Oh man, they hit Pen Magicians relatively hard. Pen Magician, this is basically the thing that kept the deck looping and going forward. It's how's Pen Magicians gonna really like go on about this one? Like, wow, they hit Astrograph and Masterpiece. Can't say we did not see this coming, but Masterpiece is one of the new cards that is banned, no longer a part of the game. So there goes a lot of true Draco decks. If anything, it goes every true Draco deck. It's essentially every true Draco goes for Masterpiece. Now that Masterpiece out of the game, that practically eliminates the true Draco hype and the true Draco build. What? So like the meta is just changing in its entirety without Astrograph and Masterpiece in the game. So what's gonna be topping now? What are people going to play now that True Draco and Pen Magicians both got stung, right? Well, Pen Magicians didn't get stung that bad. I'm pretty sure they can still perform, right? We got Phoenician Cluster Amaryllis. I honestly do not know what that is. Let me see. Let me catch up with the times here. We'll keep that right there. So while we have it at a side-by-side view, let's go to Google. Oops. I should be going to Dueling Book actually, but Phoenician Cluster Amaryllis. It's this card. Cannot be special summoned with its own effect. This card cannot be special summoned except with its own effect or with Phoenician Seed. If this card attacks, it is destroyed after damage calculation. If this card you control is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can inflict 100 damage to your opponent. During your end phase, you can remove from play one plant type monster from your graveyard, special summon this card from your graveyard in defense position. I'm not entirely sure as to why this card made its way to not just the list, but just being banned in general. I'm assuming it's probably because of some burning mechanic, or maybe it could just keep. Maybe am I just reading something over? If this card is controlled, destroyed, sent to the graveyard, inflict 100. It's have to be destroyed. If this card is destroyed, sent to the graveyard, inflict 100 damage to your opponent. During your end phase, you can remove from play one plant monster. Yeah, so I guess I don't know exactly why this card got hit in the list. It seems kind of frivolous, but I don't know. It's people need to update their site though, because this is not on the list. This actually no, it's not technically on the list until when is this take into effect? Updated 5/14. Next update will be no sooner than that. Previous will remain effective until the 21st of May. So this list won't be in effect for like another week, which is totally fine. It gives people a chance to just like kind of absorb everything that's kind of happening. What? Supreme King Starving Venom is also banned. An Ancient Fairy Dragon. Oh my god, the combos in the Ftk'S are done. They're donezo. That's it. What the heck is going on over here? What else is happening on this list? Rank up Magic Argent Chaos Force. This is another one of those cards that I don't really pay that much attention to, and I should start paying attention to some of these other cards outside of what is Google. Outside of what is Google. Outside of what's usually used. What card was it? I said it was Rank Up something, right? Rank Up Magic. Rank Up Magic. Gotta have to type the whole thing, don't I? I've already lost Argent Chaos Force. What did you do? What goodies did you produce? It's Let's give it a quick read. Target 1, rank 5 or higher, exceeds monster you control special summon from your extra deck 1, number C, or exceeds monster that is rank 1 higher than the one you control. So I'm assuming this is a card that that people would usually combo for rank 6 or high, or rank 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I don't think there's any rank 10, 11, 12s. Well, maybe 10. I haven't seen 11 and 12 though. You can only use this fixed special on your side of the field while this card is in the graveyard. Except you can add this card from your graveyard to your hand. So it's just like a continuous. It's basically a Zodiac engine. You just continuously stack exceeds cards onto it because, well, does it say once per turn? What rank? It's in special summon your side of the field while this card is in your graveyard. Oh, so you can just run multiple copies and just there's your oh well, no, you can only activate this once per duel. Why? Huh. Interesting. Well, if you guys know anything much about this card, please do share in the comments because I have absolutely no idea. I'm super uninformed. What else? Let me make this a little bit longer on this side so I can see what's in it. This was limited grasslook screener. This card was lethal even at 1 for 60 card decks. Now that this card is out of the picture, well, I mean, it doesn't really hurt 60 card decks completely. I mean, it does sting them a lot, but 60 card decks are still viable. Like, even when this was limited, this was only allowed at 1, and 60 card that means you only had a 1 in 60 chance of drawing this card into your hand for 60 card deck players, right? So having it not in the deck, I don't think would play that much of a difference. The playmaker of this card is essentially, if it's in your hand, the deck goes off. If it's not, then the deck could go off, right? So that grasslook screener only ignites fuel into a 60 card deck, and now that it's banned, it's interesting because now you stun 60 card decks, but not essentially stop them because of what they can already naturally do for the most part. Because 60 card decks were still around when this card is limited at 1. Now that it's completely out of the game, you know, it just makes them slower, but I don't think people are going to stop using 60 card decks because they still technically work. That's why people still use them, right? Dynamite the True Draco Fighter. Dynamite Knight the True Draco Fighter. Wasn't this card banned because of the combo they did with Masterpiece and Diagram? And now that Masterpiece out of the game, they brought Draco Fighter out. What did Dynamite Knight do? I forgot what he did. Let's see. It's been that long since I've heard of this card. Oop, that's the wrong keyboard shortcut. Go back to Google. Why didn't I just copy and paste that from the beginning? Because I'm an idiot. This guy actually looks pretty interesting. Yeah, he was forbidden in our format. To tribute, well, I mean, it just says right here, was forbidden. Stupid. To tribute summon this card face up, you can tribute continuous spell trap cards. Instead, once per turn during either player's turn, when your opponent activates a card or effect while you control this tribute summon monster, you can take 1 True Draco or True King continuous trap card from your deck and either activate it or add it to your hand. Okay, well, I guess that's not too bad. That's I can see how this card was busted when this card and Masterpiece were both live. But now that Masterpiece is out of the way, I wonder if this would be a sense of balancing and keeping the True Draco archetype live and viable. However, Masterpiece was essentially the reason why the deck was viable, because you had a monster that was really, really hard to get over and people just didn't want to deal with it. Now that the one guy that can't really produce protection is out of the game, what's gonna happen? You had one guy, they brought back one guy that brought ammo to the table, but the gun is no longer in play, essentially. So it's going to be interesting to see what people will try to do with the new ban list, really. Now that this is out, Gem Knight Master Diamond. So I have heard of some Gem Knight combos, but I was more expecting Seraphonite to get hit on this list. But then again, people only really use one Seraphonite. So Like this is the limited list, so you can only have one of this copy. So what are this is probably for the the FTKs of the world, using Gem Knight. Where is it? Here it is. What does this one do? Must first be fusion summoned. This card gains 100 track for each gem monster in your graveyard. Once per turn, you can banish one level 7 or lower Gem Knight fusion monster from your graveyard until the end phase. The card becomes that monster and replace the. Oh well, there you have it. That's probably why. You just another Seraph Knight, so you get another normal summon. Basically, is what it is. And what is 3 Gem Knight monsters? Well, it's interesting because this card doesn't seem very. How would you call it? Universal, I guess you could say. So it's interesting that they hit this card. I do know that there are a couple of FTK combos with this card, and it was crazy insane how people kind of used it. But it was Gem Knight specific, I guess, and so it's archetype locked. So it's locked to Gem Knights mainly because of the materials it uses to fusion summon it. So I don't know. It's very unless you can. Must first be fusion summoned. Oh, what was instant fusion? Instant fusion is level 5 or higher, right? Would you be able to instant fusion this target? Instant. What is typing? Instant. Oh my god, what is typing? Instant fusion. Instant fusion. Here we go. Pay 1,000 life points. Special summon one level 5 or lower. Oh, so this was not this could not have been an instant fusion target. Oh, that's right. It is level 5 or lower because Norton. That's why Norton was banned. Rest in peace. But holy crap! Like they're really hitting a bunch of FTKs out on this list this time around. What else is Firewall still on there, which is actually understandable. Chain Strike. Wow. Chain Strike is now limited, so you can only have one of these guys on there. I keep forgetting most of their effects, but I am familiar with the card. Chain Strike. What did you do again? Oh, it's this guy. Activate only as a chain link 2 or higher. Inflicts 400 damage to your opponent times the chain link number of this card. You can activate for the chain burn decks out there. So now rogue decks are actually being called out on this list. At this point, you cannot activate multiple of these cards in the same chain. Yeah. So now road decks are being called out on this list, which is actually really interesting because rogue decks are meant to keep meta in check, and now road decks are being in checked by taking on some of the cards that they use to essentially eliminate your opponent without producing a big board where they control what their opponent does or essentially attack the heck out of them or limit whatever they can do. This is a Chamber, it's just a flat out OTK, but it's a huge gamble, and they're still hitting this card. Well, on the bright side though, for those Chamberlain players, this card is not out of the game. You just can only have one copy of it, which in sight kind of makes sense. I guess you essentially want to run. Well, I'm not gonna say you only want to run one, but you'd only want to activate one per chain. So unless you can trigger another chain, or your opponent triggers another chain, then you're good. But in this sense, it's only going to be a lot harder to see this card in your hand now than it was before. What else is added on this list? I've never heard of this card in my life. I've seen this card before. Like, I've seen this card's name on this list before, but never really paid any attention to it. So let's go ahead and take a look and see. Let's get rid of this Gem Knight on there. Let's go ahead and take a quick look and see Towers. Probably because of Cleafort Genius, really. And I'm only saying that because of Cleafort in the name. Cleafort Towers. Apo Cleafort Towers. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Oh, it's a monster. I'm very stupid. Okay. We all know it's a monster. Anyways, cannot be special summon, requires 2 Cleat tributes to normal summon set. If this card is normal summon set, it is unaffected by spell trap effects and activated. excuse me, and by activated effects from any monster whose original level rank is lower than this card's current level. All special summon monster loses 500 attack and defense. Once per turn, you can make your opponent send one monster from their hand or their side of the field to the graveyard. What? Once per turn, you can make your opponent send one monster from their hand or their side of the field to the graveyard. I can see why this card was on the list, or at least what was it? It was limited. I can see why this card was limited. It's got a built-in protection. The cost of getting it out could be a bit of a challenge. I don't know. I think the Klee archetype might be interesting now that we move forward and having more kind of spammy cards come out and play, seeing as how there are different kind of practices now to be able to get multiple monsters out. So I don't know if this card would be too viable, but it's very interesting to see this card at least come out to 2 instead of just having 1. I don't think I'll be, or at least will be, seeing this card too much in play, because again, it's locked to Klee. It takes 3 tributes, so it has to be normal summon for this effect to, for the protective effect to really go off. If he cannot be special summoned, so he cannot even be special summoned, so you have to normal summon him. So there's a lot of limitations to this card to being able to get it out. But once you're able to get it out, then it practically develops a board. It's a level 10, 3000 attack. It's gonna be, I don't know, it's gonna be very interesting to see how this card kind of makes its way back into the game. I don't think it'll make its way back, but I think people will become a little bit more open to using them, especially now that True Dracos and Pen Magicians got touched pretty badly. What else is Ring of Destruction was limited, now it's semi-limited. This card is interesting. I actually ran into this card not too long ago, and I'm actually surprised they're actually lifting it from the list a bit. This card is it's absolutely busted. Let's see. Ring of Destruction. Let me read the effect word for word, because I don't want to get this one mixed with another one. Ring of Destruction. Yu-Gi-Oh! We have during your opponent's turn, target one face-up monster your opponent controls whose attack is less than or equal to their life points. Destroy that face-up monster, and if you do, take damage equal to its original attack. Then inflict damage to your opponent. Basically, I hit you, then you hit me because of my card, but I also got rid of your monster. And it's really easy to use this card, especially early on in the game, because there's no monsters whose attack is essentially naturally bigger than, I think the highest is 4,500. So yeah, unless less than equal, unless their opponent's monster is just like rev all the way up to like 8,000, and then you can use this. But I don't know. It'd be an interesting concept to see if a deck can come together. Pardon the bad speaking, but a deck that can come together to basically naturally boost your opponent's monster, and then you go ahead and send it away. But I mean, either which way, it's damage to its original attack. So even then, it's pointless. So I can understand why this card can be less restricted now, because it doesn't essentially win you the game that much, but it is a playmaker. It can change the game, and it does result in kind of board clearing, because this is not a this is a once per turn. This is a hard once per turn. So which is actually interesting, because that means you can only once per turn. That means you can't even change this card. Well, no, you can't. Either which way, this card's gonna be interesting. And then all of these cards no longer on the list. Look, Compulse, no longer on the list. Was limited, completely free. You can bounce every monster you want back into the hand. Well, 3 at least. Neo Space Grand Mole. Neo Space. I know Mathematician for at one point was too busted to kind of keep off the list. Mathematician. Stupid, because that's an actual word too. I forget Yu-Gi-Oh's not all made up. I forget what this card did. When this card is normal summon, you can send one level 4 lower monster from your deck to graveyard. When this card is destroyed by battle, send a graveyard, you can draw a card. Busted. So it's basically a upstart, half an upstart, and a foolish burial in one card at the cost of one normal summon. And a normal summon is actually rather expensive now with most decks, because everything has to kind of be timed right? So you usually try to use your normal summon towards the end of the turn. So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see how this card comes back into the game, as well as. Oh well, I mean, this card was never out of the game. It was semi-limited. I guess people just probably won't use it as much still. This was forbidden Elemental Lord. This is probably done because all the new elemental cards that are coming out or are out. So it kind of makes sense to kind of see how this kind of goes about, and maybe they're just trying to create a whole new meta, right? Because this card in itself was kind of overpowering in its time. Atlantean Dragoons. That's a card I've never heard of, honestly. Atlantean Dragoons. We go to Google because Google knows everything, and then we click that. All level 3 or lower sea serpent type monsters you control can attack your opponent directly. When this card is sent to the graveyard to activate a water monster's effect, add one sea serpent type monster from your deck to your hand, except for this card. Maybe, I don't know. Wouldn't know. I mean, like, I can get why it was on the list to begin with, because all level 3 or lower sea serpent type monsters can attack directly. So you can essentially board wipe in that, and not board wipe, wipe your opponent out in that nature. But I don't know if there are any like level 3 or lower sea serpents that can actually team up together to clear out your life points like that. I don't know. This card was never out of the game, but no one really uses it. So I guess it's in terms of like, oh, if no one really uses this card anyways, and it wasn't forbidden, then there's no point in keeping it on the list. So I think that's the mindset that Konami was probably coming from. Neospace Grand Mole is no longer on the list. Was limited, now it's no longer on the list. I just said that. Another card that I think I've heard of this one, but I don't know what it did. Let's see. Neospacian Grand Mole. Oh, it's this guy. I do know him. I just know him as the Mole. Oh, okay. Well, this card is another card that people don't really use, but this definitely creates a lot more viability for Exodia decks, especially because, you know, why not? If this card battles on opponent's monster, you can return both cards. This also kind of gets rid of a lot of problematic cards. So this is going to be interesting to see this card kind of go into play. You just special summon this card left and right, and just kind of let people swing at it, or you can swing with it and just bounce people's monsters back, so that, you know, resolves a lot of problems with like cards like Firewall, Borlo, things like that. So to have it no longer on the list, it'll probably, I don't know if it would begin to see play, but I know for those Exodia fans out there, I don't know. It's kind of tough to say, honestly, but yeah, no, I'm actually kind of happy for this guy. This guy's kind of like a derpy looking card, so he deserves to be off the list. He doesn't really affect the meta that much, but holy smokes, the True Draco and the Pen Magician stuff, that's a game changer on its own. So the meta, you know, what will show up now, aside from Trickstars, which I'm surprised Reincarnation wasn't hit on this list. I was actually kind of sad. I was partially looking forward to Reincarnation getting hit, but since it's not, had to find other creative ways to get it, to get around it. Trickstars still being up there. Honestly, not sure what else other than say like 60 card. 60 card zombie, sworn, dino, whatever they might be, whatever the combos people might prefer to go along with. Trying to think of other archetypes that's probably going to be up there on that list. I know there's like one or two ABC stragglers, like myself having an ABC Cyber Dragon. What else would essentially be on there? I don't know. I guess it also depends on how the new Brandish and Nightmare archetypes kind of perform as well. So we'll see them kind of come up and down on the list. So there you go. New ban list won't take effect until like a week from now, which is like May. Was it May 21st? May 21st. That means May 22nd. We have a whole new list. No more True Dracos. No more Pen Magicians. Well, I don't know about no more Pen Magicians, but there's definitely going to be a trade-off for Pen Magicians in terms of what's happening because of their key player no longer being a part of the game. This is insane. This is crazy. Konami, you've done it. You've definitely not only balanced meta, but now you've tilted it real hard. And now I really honestly don't know what's going to be up there. Other than Trick Stars and the 60 card builds without Grasslook Screener. Again, Grasslook Screener, I don't think without the card it'll hurt 60 card decks that much, seeing as how it's a 1 in 60 chance to draw the card. But yeah. Anyways, thanks for sticking around. If you like the video, go ahead and hit like. If you're interested in what's going to happen on this channel, go ahead and hit subscribe. If you have something nice to say, go ahead and say it in the comments below. If you don't have anything nice to say nothing at all, because that's the rule I apply on my Twitch stream. Anyways, you guys have a good one. See you around.